Hi there and welcome along to another workout for you to row along to. Now, if you have been rowing the Zero to Hero series, this is the final row of the series, row 36. And what I'm going to do is we're going to build on what we did a few sessions ago where we rowed for 40 minutes, but we factored in the 4-minute warm-up into that 40 minutes. We're going to do the same thing again, except this time we're going to row for 45 minutes. So we're going to do a 4-minute warm-up and then that's going to lead straight in to the next 41 minutes to mean that you'll be on the machine for a total of 45 minutes without stopping. So you're allowed to stop and have a drink if you need to. Don't worry, I'm not going to shout at you if you have to stop. But the aim here is that basically we're going to do that 4-minute warm-up and then we're going to row 20 strokes a minute at that kind of 5 out of 10 effort, that low intensity, 2K plus 18 to 20, zone 2 heart rate, however you want to describe this one, all right? That's what we're going to be doing for the main session. And I'm going to talk to you kind of really about what we're going to hope to have got out of this series, but also just to try and kind of give you a little bit of motivation for what you're going to go on to do next, okay? Hopefully it'll be a bit more interesting than me just talking technique at you for 45 minutes, which, trust me, would bore even me. So, we have to set up our machines first before we get started, and on an Aviron, that means setting your resistance to wherever you would normally have it for this kind of row. Now I've got my resistance set to 12, which is perfect for me because I don't want to overgun it, but at the same time, I don't want to be rowing through air. Now, if you're in the concept 2, I want you to set your drag factor to wherever you would normally have it for this kind of long, low intensity row. For most people, that's likely to be a drag factor of about 130. If you don't know about drag factor, then read up on it, but set your lever to 5, okay? Because too low isn't a problem here, too high is when it becomes a bit of a problem. If you have to start heaving against the stroke to get it moving, that's not a good thing, all right? Next up, let's move to our foot stretchers, foot strap height, all that kind of stuff, however you want to describe it. And what you're looking for is for your feet to be set at a height where you can come into the front of the stroke with your shins in a vertical position, but comfortably, okay? If you're set too high, it can get a little bit tough to get there, heels come right off. If you're set too low, then you can go scooting straight past there. Your backside escapes from underneath you. You lose power, it can be a bit uncomfortable, okay? The ballpark here is that the strap should cover the balls of your feet, which is often the bottom lace in your shoe. But I say ballpark for a reason, because it's a place to start from and then adjust from there. But bear in mind, if you have a bad posture, and I say bad's an awful word, but like a collapsed posture, then that will affect things because when you roll into the front, because of the angles of your knees and things, your heels are going to come right off the foot plates and you're like, whoa, this is a really strange position. Whereas if you've got a better posture, see, basically my body's staying in exactly the same place, but because I'm going from that bad posture to an up and primed posture, my heels come down, and this is a lot more comfortable. I know I'm talking technique before we get started today, but we've got 45 minutes ahead of us, and this is an important thing to bring up now. Okay, so notice the difference. I'm in the front here with that hips rolled backwards, poor posture, and then as I rise up, nothing else is moving. It's really just my heels are coming down, okay? And there's obviously my shins are slightly different, but as I come forwards, it's all good. You get what I mean? Right. Shall we get started? Shall we get into this 4-minute warm-up, which then leads into the 41 minutes to follow to make this a 45-minute row? Let's do, okay? So, if you are ready to go and you've had one last drink and you make sure that you're happy and all that stuff, wiggle your backside, we're going to get going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So we start off this warm-up at a nice low intensity. You're just pressing your feet out from the front, still trying to aim for around about 20 strokes per minute. But it's just about getting the body moving. It's called a warm-up for a reason. You wanted to warm up your body. It's not called, hey everyone, let's hit the ground running as fast as we can for the first 4 minutes. Up. That would be hard to put on a pamphlet anyway, wouldn't it? So, what you're really just thinking of doing is pushing your legs into the machine at the same time that your hands connect the handle to the power generator in your machine. The flywheel, the magnet, the water, the whatever. You'll feel that bite happen from your hands and you want to push your feet at the same time because that's how the power gets in. And if you now push a little harder with your feet, you get a bit more power from your feet, and what you should find is that the strain, the brace against the handle increases as you push. your feet a little harder into the foot plates. And what you're looking for here is to find that 5 out of 10 intensity, 2K plus 20. I said 5 out of 10 intensity, didn't I? I'm repeating my lines already. Heart rate starts to increase. Breathing rate starts to increase. But it doesn't feel hard, okay? You know you could do this for 45 minutes if you have the base fitness to get you through it. Right, let's take one more stroke here. Take one foot out, put it on the ground, continue rowing. You know, I've got this feeling that it's like the last day of school. My brain's gone to mush. Right, continue just rowing, push with that leg that's still strapped into the machine. And then think about arms straight at the front, push with the legs, let your hips open up. Swap feet. On to the next one. And continue rowing. So this will help with your posture too, because it's hard to row single leg with a poor posture. You end up whacking your shin off the foot plates if you do that. And just continue that push. Don't worry if you slow down your pace here. That's going to happen. You've only got one leg strapped in. Put that one back in. So both legs are strapped in. Legs straight and row with your back and arms. Swing over your back, pull in your arms. Out with your arms, rock over your hips into that forward tilt again. And please note that I'm saying tilt and rock and hinge and stuff. This is about pivoting forwards and backwards. It's not about rounding your lower back. Right, into the front with that forwards tilt, arms straight. Push out with just your legs. And this is a vital drill if you're the kind of person who pulls early with their arms or swings early with your upper back. To keep those arms straight, hold that forwards tilt and just use your legs. I'm going to get 2 more of these done and then we're going to crack in to the next 41 minutes. There we go. So, that second minute of the warm-up, when you went up to 5 out of 10 effort, this is the pace that you're returning to. Okay, so I was rowing 156, 157 pace, and that's what I'm aiming for now. And today, I'm gonna focus on trying to just hold this pace all the way through the workout, which I know for me will eventually burst the bubble of zone 2 heart rate. I'll try and let you know when that happens. I think if I say 132 is my zone 2 limit, then I will let you know when I hit 133 beats per minute. Bearing in mind that it's all a little alien, or not alien, it's all a little false, is that the right word? For me, because just by talking, I'm putting an extra exertion on my body, and therefore my heart rate goes up a little higher than it would if I was rowing at this pace with my mouth closed. Which on that point, I mean, I've not talked about this at all in this series as a way to help your all-round rowing. Like one of the things that I've talked about a lot, don't worry, I'll spend a small moment every now and then talking technique, but I'm not going to do a big 40-minute kind of chat about it. So just get nice and warm here. Think about arms straight at the front, sitting up on your sit bones, pushing with your legs, only pull at the back, okay? Just focus on that while I'm talking away to you. But one of the things I've spoken a lot about during this series is the importance of low rate, low intensity rowing, but not just the importance of it, but also my surprise and almost frustration at the amount of people who say, oh, I just can't row that slow. I can't hold it there. Either because they don't have the technique, which is fine, we can work with that, or worse, and this is where the frustration comes in, that they're like, it's boring, don't want to. I just can't hold the pace that low for so long. Which, because it's such a fundamental part of rowing, and I mean any exercise, I spoke about this at one point, or did I? Or am I thinking about talking about this? I can't remember. Anyway, the importance of building your foundation to be able to succeed. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. If not, I will. I must have. Yeah, I did. Sorry. I think it was during, was it the 30-minute row? When I was talking about John Coltrane, the saxophonist. Anyway, it's like building a house. You have to build the foundation before you can build the rooms and install your amazing gym and cinema that sets your house apart from anybody else's. But if you don't build the foundation first, well, your house is just gonna blow down when the big bad wolf comes along. And so when people say to me, oh, I just can't, or I'm bored, or whatever, and then in the same email or a couple of months later, I get an email saying, I don't know why I can't go any faster on my 2K, I just blow up. It's because they don't have the core fitness. And so, this brings me to my point. When it comes to people who are like, I just can't row that slow, a really good way to do it is nasal breathing. So where you just keep your mouth closed and breathe through your nose, because you will hit a point if you're breathing through your nose and you're going too fast that you can no longer breathe through your nose and continue at that intensity. It's possibly something I should have brought up right at the very beginning of this series, but going forward, now that you've developed your fitness, etc., if you are looking for a way to really enhance these low rate workouts, then nasal breathing can really help to keep the intensity down. Suggestions though are to make sure to keep that intensity low from the start. Don't try to find your breaking point and then have to give up. But the other thing is to try and keep the room quite warm, because if you're in a cold room where you're doing it outside and you are just breathing through your nose, can actually irritate the nerve that runs up the side of your nose. It can get quite uncomfortable. So give yourself the best chance by doing it in a comfortable atmosphere. I've done a few sessions that way. Made a couple of YouTube videos of it as well. Not proper RowAlong ones, because obviously the whole point of me and my rows is that I talk the whole time. And as special as I like to think this makes me, I'm not so clever that I can talk with my mouth closed. But yeah, there you go, there's a tip. That'll keep it down. And one of the great things to do then is, like, say you started a 30-minute row and you say, right, I'm going to do this with nasal breathing, and then you only make it, say, 10 minutes in before you just go, I have to open my mouth. Then the next time you come back to the same row, try and see if you can last longer than 10 minutes. Whether that's just because you have excuse me, oh, the irony of having a cough right then. But whether it's because you've built your system to be able to breathe through just your nose, or whether it's you've learnt from the one before and you haven't gone out quite as hard, it's still a valid increase in the amount of time it takes you. I think the longest I've done it was 40 minutes. And it really was a lot slower. Heart rate was a lot lower. So I was quite happy. Yeah, so there you go. That's that tip. So where are we? Coming up for 14 minutes, which means that we are 10 minutes into this big chunk. So let's just quickly refresh. As you come forwards, arms away first, tilt over your hips to get yourself into that forwards tilt and arms straight before you bend your legs. Really try and get into position before you bend your legs. It'll make it so much smoother, more efficient as you come in for the next stroke. But just remember, this transition from the hands away to the forwards rock to the knee bend should still be a nice fluid move. It's not free robotic jerking movements. So nice posture, as though you've just been told to sit up at the dinner table, handle away, rock forwards, bend knees, slide until shins are vertical, and then maintaining your forwards tilt and straight arms, push the machine away from you with your feet. And then when your legs are halfway done, or preferably at the last moment that you can manage while still keeping a fluid rhythm, swing your back and then pull in your arms to a finish. So, over the course of this series, I'm hoping that you have built your core fitness. You should be a lot fitter. If you think back to row 1, where it was just a short session on the rowing machine, and now I've got you rowing for 45 minutes non-stop, then that shows not only how your core base fitness has improved, but also, assuming you are doing this good posture rock as you row, you should have found that you're now a lot more comfortable when you row for a long time. So the first time you row, even if it's only for 5 minutes, if you've never been on the machine before and you have a collapsed, rolled posture, even 5 minutes, you can end up with a bit of a sore booty. Whereas, because of the improvements in posture, but also just the amount of time that you've now spent rowing, your body is much more used to the pressures of rowing. Your glutes are no longer on fire from the repeated pushing from the front. Certainly not for a row like this one. Maybe in the Tabatas or the 12x3 that we did, your glutes were starting to light up. But on a row like this, they certainly shouldn't be hurting in any way from exertion. And remember, if you are getting discomfort in your glutes on this kind of row, just reseat, have a little bit of a wiggle of your backside to move the pressure point of your sit bones pressing down on your glutes. Because I mean, that's what, 19 minutes? And if you have a good posture, then what it means is that the sit bones have been squashing the same single localized part of your glutes this whole time. So no wonder it might be a little bit tender. So yeah, core fitness, the amount of time you can last, but also power. You should be stronger, able to get up to faster paces and hold those paces for longer periods of time without getting overly fatigued or completely blowing up. Speaking of which, what's that? 16 minutes into the main workout, 20 minutes in total. My heart rate is still 121, and actually my pace has increased to 151. Don't worry about my pace. This is just me. And again, the way the RowAlong works, having my resistance set at 12 means the machine is more predisposed to be going faster. It's not like a concept 2 that way. Yeah, so speed, time. But I'm also hoping that you have fallen in love with rowing for the sake of rowing, for your own improvement in fitness, because there's many, what should I say? When people, certainly if you are not, you can tell I'm struggling here, certainly if you're not training for a race, okay, so say this is just about fitness. You just want to be healthy, burn some calories, and the rowing machine is your choice of equipment, which I figure is going to be a large percentage of the people who buy this RowAlong machine. You'll find a lot of Concept 2 people are the same, but I'm going to guess the people who buy one for their house, if the same percentage of RowAlong users are just about keeping fit, I got to figure a Concept 2 would be the flip of that, where more Concept 2 owners are about racing and performance, and then so maybe it's like 70-30, let's say, where 70% are about performance and 30% are about fitness. When you factor in gym machines, then the Concept 2 will then get watered down quite a lot because so many people use them in a gym just for fitness. But as being I'm comparing ownership of an RowAlong with the ownership of a Concept 2, I might be absolutely wrong. I'm kind of generalizing here from the data I've seen. However, the point I'm making is that maybe as a home fitness user, the RowAlong really appeals because of the games that it has on board, the challenges, the races against other people, these things that don't particularly mentally stimulate you, because all you're doing is reacting to something on screen, or like the virtual scenic, well, not virtual because it's real, isn't it? The scenic rowing, where you're just distracted by what's in front of you. And that can be enough for lots of people, and maybe they never want to think about technique or how to get the power in or the best way to train in order to build fitness and speed. Some people never care about that. But then, certainly as far as the RowAlong's concerned, that's why I think the series of videos that I make, like these, give you another option, one where you can be guided through a progression of your fitness and performance, and in this series anyway, to then allow you to move on to something else and focus on that. So remember that this series is Zero to Hero. It's been aimed at the people who've never really thought about rowing technique and performance before, and want a way to build to be able to do more. This, like if you're already a good, strong rower, then this series will also help you, but it's not like a specific 2,000 meter time trial training plan. what this series will do is get you ready to be able to get into a 2K training plan. Especially because usually a training plan, the first thing that you're asked to do is a 2,000 meter time trial in order to set a baseline to then compare your result as you get out the other end of that training plan. And if you've never experienced performance rowing before, that 2K time trial can not only be terrible in terms of your experience, but it will also be kind of out of date very quickly. Because if you think about the leaps in your fitness and performance through this series, it happens thick and fast. And if you enter a 6-week training plan from a point of never doing anything before, your improvements are going to happen so fast that your baseline will be out of date within like a week and a half. Whereas you've already had your newbie gains, let's call it, through the course of this series, and you've built yourself up so that if you do that 2K time trial, although I'm still going to assume you'll see huge gains over a training plan, the right plan will always be referenced to that baseline anyway and push you harder and harder as you go through. So all I'm saying is this sets you up for more if you want it. But it might well be that you neither want nor care about performance, and it's just been about building your system up to be able to row for 45 minutes or more. Because obviously, if you're using a rowing machine to burn calories as part of a calorie controlled diet to lose weight or burn fat, then it makes sense that you learn how to row properly so that you can row for as long as you want and as efficiently as possible in order to maximize that calorie burn through the longer durations. It's really stuff I should have talked about in the first few rows, but unfortunately, I didn't start off with a 45-minute row. Don't think many people would have signed up for it if I did. But it's an important part. I mean, sorry, the pause there is, I can't remember if I've, in this series, said what my backstory is. I'll give you a brief version. Somebody tell me if I haven't, and in one of the future series I'll tell you. But really quickly, I used to play a lot of squash, and then I got injured, stopped playing squash, continued to eat and drink like a squash player, and put on a lot of weight. I was, I think at my heaviest, I was nudging 17 stone, which, what's that? Or 17 fours, 40, 68. So I was about 240 pounds, I think. 17 stone, 14 pounds to a stone. I was a big fella. And this was from previously being a little skinny mini squash player. Over the course of 2 or 3 years of not exercising and eating loads, I really packed on the pounds. That's why sometimes when I'm talking about rowing and needing to open your legs to fit your belly in, I'm talking from experience. Anyway, so in 2002, I proposed to my beautiful girlfriend, who became my fiancée, obviously, because she said yes. Did it at the top of the Empire State Building, so if she said no. Anyway, and then the wedding was set to be 2 years later, just because of the venue, but also because I saw the photos of what I'd become in a whole new light and thought, whoa, I got chunky. And so made the decision to trim down over the 2 years for the wedding. And that's when I started to refocus and exercise more. And it started with cycling, not rowing. I just hit the turbo trainer, put my bike on the turbo trainer, and I started off. I'd only manage 10-15 minutes before my backside got sore, but built it up over time, and eventually I was on the machine, on the turbo, watching movies, playing online poker. So I was losing pounds while I was burning pounds. That joke works in the UK because that's our currency. It doesn't work in the States. Losing dollars? No. Anyway. And just building up the amount of time that I could spend cycling for meant the more calories I was burning, because I was also watching what I ate as well. I totally cut white bread and cheese out of my diet and stopped drinking alcohol and only ate sugary things at the weekend. So you combine lots of calories burnt with a better diet, and the weight started to fall. And I then started to commute to work on the bike, which meant 45 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes in the evening. And road cycling is tougher than on a turbo trainer, so that helped too. But I always looked at just making sure I could spend enough time on the bike to burn the calories, to lose the weight. And then I got my own rowing machine and added that into the mix. And eventually the cycling drifted away when I had kids, and my rowing performance increased, and I was training more and more on the rowing machine. And this was then taking care of my calorie burn, but also because of my increased muscle mass from adding an upper body element, because after all, cycling doesn't do much for your upper body. With more muscle, your body burns more calories at rest, which is why it's good to incorporate some form of resistance training alongside cardio. Keep seeing all these clickbait adverts on the internet about cardio is not good for you once you get over 40. Shut up. They're just trying to sell you something. There's a difference between going out every night to run 15 miles, that kind of cardio, and just cracking out a half-hour row 3 or 4 times a week. And when you add in resistance training, then actually, once you get to 40s and above, as long as there's no genetic quirk to your body, then the combination of cardio and resistance training is exactly what your body needs. Certainly from a illness prevention and life longevity point of view. So don't get swept up by all of these clickbait adverts telling you that if you do 10 minutes of calisthenics a day, you will turn into that ripped 60-year-old guy in the advert. Rubbish. Nonsense. Tripe. Takes hard work, dedication, and just being sensible, along with a bit of time, and it can happen. Like I said in one of the previous rows, even if I look at myself between the start of this series and now, I can tell the difference. And that's only been a couple of months. So as long as you're sensible, watch what you eat, put in the work, put in the effort, which is important, and you've set goals that you want to hit, and you stay positive, then it will work out for you. Just don't allow negativity or distraction to veer you off your path. Distraction's an important thing that I'm seeing more and more people talk about recently. Talking of distraction, I will distract myself from this conversation to say I have just hit 130 heart rate, so I'm still within my zone 2, continuing to row at 150 pace at 20 strokes per minute. I'm definitely breathing, I'm definitely sweating, but this is exactly the intensity that I want this workout to be. Hopefully, I can make it through the next 5 minutes without it jumping up. What did I say? 133 was the cutoff. Can't remember. I either said 131 or 133. Can't remember. Anyway, distractions, and most notably, distractions nowadays come in an iPhone-sized shape where you can be doing something and you get that little notification on your phone telling you someone's commented on your Insta image or your Facebook status, or you got an email through, or whatever. Text message, a meme, TikTok. And it will stop you from what you're doing. It doesn't have to be exercise. Could be you're having a conversation with somebody and your phone goes, and instinctively you pick it up and you break that connection. I've got a rule in my house where there's no phones at the table when we have a family dinner, not even face down next to us, has to be completely away from the table so that we can talk and spend time together. And that is what I'm getting at here, is that apart from that dinner moment, I think for me, the only time that I am perfectly at one with what I'm doing is right here, right now, on the rowing machine, where I don't have my phone next to me. I don't have notifications buzzing to distract me. All I have is me, the machine, and the monitor in front of me for however long I'm going to be rowing for. I message Julie, my wife, and I say, about to row, I'm out of office for the next hour, just so that she knows that if she messages and doesn't get a reply, I've not like fallen down the stairs or something, so she knows that I'm busy. But it means that I can just concentrate on this, whether it's making a video for you or whether it's working out in my own time. I think possibly having the handle in my hand so I can't pick up my phone just lends itself to this being a free distraction point of my day. Because even if I'm on the exercise bike or my turbo on Zwift, my phone is next to me, and so somebody messages or whatever, because the phone's in arm's reach and I can just sit up on the saddle, I can still pick up the phone, check the message, and then drop off a few watts in the process because I've lost concentration and got distracted. So that's my suggestion, is to make sure when you're rowing, tell people you're rowing, tell people you are out of office for X amount of minutes, and enjoy your row. Enjoy this special time that you've set for yourself. Don't look for a distraction. Don't look for games. Just look for you and a machine, and possibly some Scottish guy talking in your ear. There we go. Held it at 130 heart rate all the way to the end. Didn't break zone 2. My average split for the entire row was 154, but I was down at 151 by the end. So that for me is exactly how that row was meant to be. Covered just under 12,000 meters. But again, remember, this is slightly, if you're sitting on a Concept 2 with the Aviron app right now, don't worry, the Aviron is 5 or 6 seconds faster when I set it to 12 for me for the same perceived effort than on a Concept 2 when I'm rowing at 140 drag factor for the same perceived effort. So where I was at like 151, or let's say the average was 154 on that, my average for that kind of a row on a Concept 2 would be around about 203. So don't worry. It only becomes an issue if you actually try to compare machines, but it really is apples and oranges. Right, if I take this last stroke, is that going to hit exactly 12,000? Oh, 12,001. I was trying to aim to hit exactly on 12k for that row. You continue doing some light rowing while I say goodbye. Yeah, so goodbye. That's it. We're done. Well, we're not done because there's going to be another series coming up. But, but for the Zero to Heroes series, this is the end. Okay, so in fact, let's have that as the hashtag. This is the end. Is that not a Doors song? No, it's the, whatever. Yeah, so that's the hashtag if you want to post in the socials. This is the end, because it is. We're done. 36 sessions building you up from somebody who's never put in any particular kind of like thought and training on a rowing machine, from those starting little 5-minute workouts all the way up to being able to row 45 minutes non-stop without having to get off and wiggle your backside, or without having to stop because you're tired and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully that has really kind of got you to this stage that you're like, wow, that was amazing, to the point that you can just row along to the virtual scenic thingies, the scenic rivers on the Aveyron, or you can just put a podcast on and row along to the metric screen or whatever, so that you don't need to have those games. The games and stuff are fantastic, okay? They will give you a little bit of, oh, this is exciting, but you want to move away from needing that kind of stuff, and then you do the races and all that stuff is a way to be different. But the rest of the time, you're just kind of focusing on yourself, because that's how you then concentrate on improving yourself, if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking to become a better rower that can row for longer and can row faster, and because in many ways that's your motivation, is once you get better on this, you want to continue to get better. Whereas if you're just flapping up and down, then you kind of think, well, am I increasing? Is my body just going to plateau? Am I going to continue to burn calories in as efficient way if I'm looking to lose weight? All that kind of stuff all plays into this, okay? So this is kind of the purpose of the Zero to Hero series, is to kind of get you to a point where you can do more. You don't have to rely on games and challenges and races and things in order to get you on the machine. You've now learned to love this for the sake of loving this, I hope. Okay, so we're done. Right, so I thank you so much for spending all 36 rows with me. Hopefully you've learned a lot about yourself. Hopefully you've learned things like my inability to count while I'm rowing, and my love of Van Halen, because of course that's the Van Halen shorts. Yeah, so hopefully you've enjoyed this. Please get in touch. Let me know whether you did or not. If you have any requests for future series, if you have any comments about this one, if you have, I don't know, if you just want to say hello, then you can get in touch either through the Facebook group or on Instagram, or my email is info@rowalong.com. Please just get in touch and say hello and tell me how you get on, because it's great to hear from people. And especially if you tell me what you want, I can make what you want, okay? The only way I know how to improve is by hearing from folks like you, okay? So we're all done. This is the end, is the hashtag, and I will see you, so I'm having separation anxiety, and I will see you in another row. Whether you go back over any of these ones, whether it's you check out any of the other series that I have up here, I hope you find more value in what I do here with RowAlong. Until then, please look after yourselves, please row well, please be well. Bye-bye.